The Fan, Rochester.
Mets down 2-1, top of the third. Holmes got roughed up a little bit there first inning. What are we thinking of this guy?
I'm not in favor of Holmes.
Kinda down on Holmes, right?
I still think I'm like the Yankee guy who couldn't close. So like I'm
Right.
like, well, Juan Soto, come on in. I'm like Holmes. Hey, listen, the Mets have pulled out games like this. They're only down by
They're down
one.
2-1. It's no big deal. They got a little win streak going on here. Feeling pretty good.
It's in the third. I got chastised earlier in the show today originally by Dan DeLorean. Dan DeLorean is a Mets fan. I walk into the studio.
I did not chastise you. Dan DeLorean did, for the record.
You backed him up because I looked up at the scoreboard on the monitor. I'm like, oh, Yankees are losing 5-0. Did one of those.
Yeah, you
Like
give
a
a
little
snicker, a sneer, a chortle.
No shame. It's Scooble, right? He's one of the best in the game. He's the defending Cy Young Award winner in the American League. He shut down the Yankees today. Just did a That makes me a bad Mets fan for doing such a thing?
According to the Dan DeLorean, who
You backed him up.
I did back him up. I love that he called you on that. You can't do that, Gene. You can't scoff at the Yankees losing 5-0. As a Mets fan, you can't do that. Dan is no longer a misfit. He's shed the label. That is non-misfit behavior. You, on the other hand, sir, you are a Mets fan misfit. Look at the Yankees. I'm the little brother that can't get over. I'm gonna be happy at their misfortune, even though they're not in our division. They're not a rival.
Like how you give me the Rochester accent, too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You think the Yankees are bad? Look around the league, pal. Maybe those torpedo bats don't work in the cold.
Yeah, cuz my torpedo bat doesn't work unless it's 90 degrees. Don't make me do the accent because it hurts when I do it. It hurts.
This game, everybody's bundled up. This game originally was supposed to be tonight. I like this new trend. Like, okay, you know what's going to be cold? Let's just move this up anyways. Nobody's going to go tonight. Why don't we just play it at 4 o'clock
Why not?
today? Yeah.
Why not? Happy Hour is coming up next on the Fan Rochester. We welcome you back into the sports bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Big news in the NBA today. I mean, the NBA feels like it's a drunk league because the things that we're talking about have nothing to do with actually what's going on the court.
Is it just alien behavior or is it a story we're all kind of missing on? Like, we're in this day and age of, like, is there real digging around for stories and journalism? Like, there was a story there with the Nuggets we all weren't picking up on, but who cares? It's not too often you have something like, in fact, 1980 was the last time we had something like this happen in the NBA?
A coach getting fired this late in the season hasn't happened since Hubie Brown, the Celtics, 1980-81. Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. We'll dive into it a little bit. What may be the cause? What might have happened there in the Mile High? 585-8664-FAN is our phone number if you want to pull up a stool and join us. Happy Hour next on The Fan.
HD2 and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Sabres not yet eliminated from postseason contention, although that could change tonight with a loss to Carolina. Marty Baron on the opponent tonight.
They don't give up a lot, but on the road, they're technically 5 games under 500. They're 2 games under NHL 500, but they're 16-21 on the road. This is not the typical Rod Brind'Amour team that plays well on the road.
Meaning maybe the Sabres pull this off tonight. 7 o'clock, our coverage here on the Fan Rochester. The Amerks back in action tomorrow night. Belleville coming to the Blue Cross Arena. The Denver Nuggets today letting go of head coach Michael Malone. Also, they're moving off of their general manager Calvin Booth. This is the last week of the regular season in the NBA. Baseball from today, the Yankees falling to the Tigers 5-0. Bottom of the third City Field, the Mets trailing the Marlins 2-1. Gene Battaglia and the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
From 12 down to the school's 3rd national championship in men's basketball. 65-63 the final. The Florida Gators are the national champions once again.
It's Masters Week. I know that makes you very happy.
Oh, buddy.
The Masters Champions Dinner is tonight. It's Scotty's Choice on the menu.
Mike Danger.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah? Tell me, cuz. Who do you like at the Masters? I don't want to offend anybody that might be listening, but we're from Rochester. That's how we talk.
Oh, yeah?
Gene Battaglia.
Danger, although it still feels like winter, the winter of sports, it's melting away, my friend. Spring is here.
Let's hope this means we get spring here, too, in Western New York very soon.
Yeah.
Amerks Hockey.
He scored! 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Happy hour in the sports bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us at 95.7 FM, AM 950. The Fan Rochester and the free-to-download Odyssey app, our YouTube stream on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. Thanks for making us part of your afternoon, even if it's just for a few minutes on your ride. We don't take it for granted. We know how precious and valuable your time is, and if you're choosing us over the hundreds of options you have for sports information and entertainment, that is humbling. We should invite you out while we have the chance here to join us day 1 of the NFL draft. Now, that's Thursday the 24th. We've got officially 16 days to go before we get to the NFL draft.
Fantastic. And then you just stop out. I could just say, because it's always happened, Danger, we always get a nice sunny day. Feels like spring in Rochester. I can guarantee it's going to feel that way coming up on the 24th. Three Heads Brewing, where you have a cold one with us. We talk about the draft. We'll have guests on site. It is a lot of fun. It's become our tradition. We love Three Heads Brewing, and we'll be there coming up on draft day.
We can share a cold one and maybe a win or two.
Matt Perino, doing a great job. Ryan Talbot doing a great job tracking some of these pre-draft visits that the Buffalo Bills have coming in. And history has kind of shown that, if the Bills are talking to somebody pre-draft, that's somebody that they're going to target. That's somebody that they're going to try and get. And they've done it year in and year out, whether you're talking about Dalton Kincaid or Ed Oliver or any of the first-round guys. They're all guys, maybe this year is different because of their needs. They are kind of drafting out of need, so maybe there's some smoke screens in the season of lying, but great conversation early with Perino. Great conversation last hour with Michael Leone. Both of those conversations available wherever you get your podcast. Just search out the Sports Bar.
So this weekend, the regular season ends in the NBA, and we're all excited about the postseason, right? Or most of us are excited. The team that won 2 years ago, the Denver Nuggets, they fired their head coach today, Michael Malone. And technically not firing. They just said, through the GM, Calvin Booth, we're just not going to extend your contract. You can stick around.
Here's Shams.
And this is stunning because we're just days away from the end of the regular season, days away from the start of the NBA playoffs. As far as a firing, this is tied with Hugh B. Brown in 1980-81 season. For the deepest into a regular season we've seen a coach get fired. Michael Malone is the winningest coach in Denver Nuggets franchise history. And the Nuggets, from my understanding, just believed that they needed a full culture reset. There's been something of a Cold War brewing between both Malone and Booth over the last couple of years, and Malone is really the established coach in place there, and now the fact that he is out, it is stunning across the NBA.
We had something like this in Western New York. This is going back a few years.
Wait, are you going to tell me that we had an NBA team or something like that?
Well, we did, but that's not what I'm talking about. We had one in Buffalo, too. For that matter.
Come on.
Yeah. This was the analogy here being to the Sabres. Right before you got to town. When did you get to town?
I moved to Rochester in 1997.
Okay, this is actually right when you moved here. Because the Sabres in 96, 97, fun team, lunch pail. Wow, this is a team that beat Ottawa. And we all knew the head coach and the GM hated one another. So at the end of the season, hey, John Muckler, you're fired. Okay, well, that's really good. Darcy Regier comes in, and he lowballs the head coach, Ted Nolan. And some would say, well, Ted Nolan was blackballed after that, meaning he would never be, took him like over a decade to find another job in this league, right? That was because, well, he threw his GM under the bus, whatever, or there were other allegations which have never been proven. The point being, though, that
salacious allegations.
The point being, though, that if you're a GM and a head coach, and if there's a power struggle, you know what owners don't want to deal with? Drama. They want to make money, okay? And they don't want to deal with a divided front office or a divided locker room or anything else like that. So when you look back at that, where a lot of people are, how could you not bring back Ted Nolan? Because he was part of the problem then. Both those men hated each other, and you kind of moved on. And by not bringing back Ted Nolan, the other guy you hired, Lindy Ruff, and he actually got you to a cup final. Well, is this situation similar? It's not, because that was after the season that happened. This is right before the postseason.
Yeah.
How does this happen right before the postseason?
Right. If you want an NFL equivalent, I mean, imagine a team like, I don't know, the Ravens or the Bills, even the Bills. Imagine Bean and McDermott being let go after they've clinched a playoff berth, a wild card berth in like week 16 or 17. It makes no sense.
Even still, though, this is a team, Denver, that won a championship.
Right.
They won a championship, so you would figure there's got to be some goodwill in the bank. Maybe that was all used up. I want to know the real story here. And the owner, Kroenke, puts out this, flowery statement as people wrote up for him, I'm sure, thanking the head coach, thanking the general manager, blah, 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 blah. Not really addressing why you made this move. Since the All-Star game, by the way, Denver's gone 11-13 for a team that has that talent. And there's something going on with Jamal Murray, too, where he's got a hamstring injury and day-to-day, but now we're not sure if he's going to be ready for the postseason in a week. Okay, that's also maybe part of the equation here.
Stan Kroenke. This guy. I mean, this guy is something. Remember when the Rams won the Super Bowl, the F them picks, and they did things kind of unorthodox? I think Kroenke is, I think what you said about owners saying, hey, I'm here to make money and I'm here to build a winner, and I don't care if you have drama. I'm not going to deal with it. I'll find somebody else. You're very replaceable. I think that's exactly what this is. I think there was probably a divide in what the coach wanted to do, what the GM wanted to do. The two men probably didn't like each other, probably didn't communicate very often, didn't really respect each other's wishes. And now an owner who has plenty of experience in owning teams, successful teams, who's got a lot of championships under his belt, whether you're talking about the Avalanche or the LA Rams. Yeah, go and the Denver Nuggets now. Add them to the list. Go ahead. Fire them. Blow it up.
This is my favorite Stan Kroenke story. This is the NFL owners' meetings 4 or 5 years ago. The Rams are already in L.A. at this point, but they haven't opened up the new stadium. And Roger Goodell gets there. Now, picture all 32 owners all sitting around. Yes. Okay, Stan, this is where we're asking you to leave the room. He gets up, walks out of the room. And all the other owners look at each other like, okay, what's this about? This isn't on the agenda. And that's where Roger Goodell, tells all the owners, when we agreed to let Stan take the Rams from St. Louis to Los Angeles, part of his verbal agreement with us would be if he ever got sued, he would pick up the legal fees. Well, he got sued. We're not going to win this. We're going to have to pay St. Louis off. Stan is not covering. evil, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm going to stab all my partners in the back there. And they worked it out behind closed doors, but you better believe that probably Terry Pagula and the others, they don't forget that. They don't forget that. Stan Kroenke, he's an alien. That's the point.
So these are like little things that I've learned about Stan Kroenke over the course of time here that because of NFL cross-ownership rules, when he took control of the Rams, he had to transfer ownership of the Nuggets and the Avalanche to his wife. Did you know this?
Yes.
And so Ann Walton Kroenke, the heiress to the Walmart fortune that Stan Kroenke married into, is technically on paper the owner, but we all kind of know who's running the show, who's calling the shots. And oh, by the way, the connection to the owners of the Broncos, the Walton family, is there as well. By marriage, you have a power circle in Denver sports that looks like Thanksgiving hosted by Forbes. Just, the Walton Penner family ownership group own the Broncos. That's Rob Walton. That's Carrie Walton Penner, Rob's daughter, and Greg Penner, Carrie's husband and current Broncos CEO. But then you have Ann Walton Kroenke, who we mentioned, the owner of the Nuggets, the owner of the Avalanche, Rob Walton's cousin, the daughter of Bud Walton, who co-founded Walmart with his brother Sam Walton. You see, Walmart really is the fuel, the jet fuel for your sports fandom in Colorado. It's really just Walmart, and that's it.
And we should point out, Stan Kroenke didn't put out the statement. It was Josh Kroenke. Does it even matter? If it's the same family, does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. That always kind of like it was with the 49ers years ago. Well, hey, DeBartolo, you can't be involved with his team anymore with the Niners. You send it over to your sister or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, so Stan married into the Walton dynasty. He turned that connection into a multi-billion-dollar sports and real estate empire. And, there's a real chance that he's also like a comic book villain. Like I could see Stan Kroenke, in the lab looking for ways to destroy the world.
I'm going to make my prediction.
Tell me.
And we only care what I think this is going to fail spectacularly. Here's why. Because who's not getting held accountable in all this? It's not Murray. It's not Jokic. It's not their fault. These were the GM and the head coach fighting here. Like, this isn't going to inspire these guys because they probably think this whole situation's messed up. When can I get to Cabo? Or for Jokic, when can I get to home? Whatever.
When is parade?
When is parade? No, I need to get home.
No, I need to get home.
You said after the Lakers win, you said you were surprised that you didn't feel more. So I'm curious what you are feeling right now and if you're looking forward to a parade coming up in Denver.
When is parade? When is parade?
Thursday.
No. I need to go home. Okay.
Yeah.
That sigh at the end is like, oh, what more do you people want from me?
Right. Well, I think you're right. It won't be I don't think Jokic, the accountability might not be there like it once was, but with a guy like Jokic, I think he holds himself accountable. I think that guy will compete no matter who the coach is. I don't think it matters. But, was the locker room divided as it's been reported? Did you have guys in there that are going to be upset that Malone isn't there anymore, that are Malone guys and not Adelman guys, or Malone guys and not Booth guys? That's the part that we don't really know, but I'm not worried about Jokic. I'm not worried about Murray. Murray was interesting, right? Murray's the one that's been injured.
Right, so that's also another part of this where originally day-to-day, and you had Malone giving a comment that made it sound like something was going on, which if you're a head coach, you really shouldn't question somebody's injury.
Well, I'm sure, but it's also a league that is known for load management, and the postseason is coming up.
Fair enough, yeah.
So if you want to, if you're the head coach and you want to call out your guys for not working down the stretch, I guess that's probably the way to do it. Like, oh, no, it was day to day. Hopefully that we can get them soon. But normally you wouldn't do that if you're the head coach. You wouldn't do that in the media to try and get your guy to come back more quickly from an injury. It'll be an interesting postseason. The season winding down in the NBA and especially out west. I think the East is going to be fairly predictable, but out west, yeah, I think all bets are off. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, they shouldn't be, right? Like Oklahoma City, 64-14. Like, honestly, like if you're just looking at this objectively, they should roll everybody in there. Well, because the Lakers, we're going to talk about them. And Denver was that team. My gosh, we could get the Warriors and Lakers in the first round here. Okay. Yeah, great.
Sign me up.
Yeah, and Oklahoma City should roll everybody.
Sign me up. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see OKC in the final. It'd be a lot of fun.
Look, for like people that love basketball, OKC and Cleveland would be fantastic. Maybe Boston, but like what would that do for the ratings? I'll tell you what, nobody would care. I mean, sad enough is to say, like, it's a league that has trained us. Hey, these are stars, and we're selling you the stars. And, okay, SGA would, is he a household name?
He will be. Yeah.
Not yet, though.
Feels like he will be. When you win a title, everything changes when you win a title. Florida, your NCAA men's basketball championship, they trailed by 12 early in the second half. They get the comeback there. Walter Clayton Jr. Turning it on at the end, both offensively and defensively after being kind of quiet in the first half. 4 turnovers down the stretch for Houston. It's not going to get it done. So their third national title, their first since 2007.
I didn't know that Calvin Sampson, he was trying to become the oldest head coach ever to win a championship.
Oh, would that have happened if he would have been the oldest one, huh?
At 69, hardy har har.
No, that'd be a nice age to win a national championship. I won't say no to that joke ever. Gino. You give me that ball. I'm taking it to the house.
Maybe when you get to that age someday, we retire that.
Nope.
Nope.
Won't happen. Not on my watch.
No.
No way, pal. We also came to the conclusion that the NCAA needs to step their game up and get these young men and young women a proper trophy for winning the national championship. You're giving them a plaque, for crying out loud. I mean, it's a plaque with a stand. It's embarrassing. It looks like it belongs in a high school trophy case. We need something with more substance.
You would think. Well, no, this is the NCAA. They don't think like everyone else. Every other sport has figured out, hey, the trophy, that should be something that is celebrated, and we can market this like you could put the trophy on a T-shirt or whatever it is. It's nothing more than a piece of wood they hand you in the NCAA.
I know. It's been that way forever. But when you look around and you see even college football has a proper trophy now. Like, get them a proper trophy for winning the national championship. It's a grind. It's an absolute haul. They should have something that looks something more impressive than something that would end up in a high school trophy case. That's what the college basketball championship trophy looks like. It doesn't look like anything special. I like that. And by the way, the NCAA settlement that's in the courts right now, that's being worked out with the politicians, that's something that in the next few weeks here, I have a feeling is going to, be finalized, and it'll, on a slow news day, we'll have that. Either that or it'll be a Friday news dump kind of thing where they explain how the world of college athletics now has an even playing field because schools will have a salary cap and a capped amount of money that they can pay their student athletes.
Well, that's their plan, okay? And yes, that's the way they'll present it. But who's to say there isn't going to be some booster that will offer some sort of job?
Uh-huh.
Like, are we really going to go to that direction? We're going to fight back in the NCAA for like
that's what this is more than anything. This is something to give the NCAA justification for their existence.
See, I read this like a lot of people. Oh, I hate NIL. I hate NIL. I hate the portal. You know, I hate more. I hate the NCAA more and their hypocrisy and their stupid little investigations and everything. And like, you're gonna allow these idiots now to actually investigate things that are going to involve millions? No, just get out of the way and let business take care of business.
They will have what they haven't had for the last few years. They'll have a sense of power back because if you're a student athlete who receives gifts improperly from boosters beyond what the school is paying you, which will probably be more modest now that there'll be a cap in place, then they have a reason for a justification for their existence. Well, we're here to keep everything fair. We're here to keep the players from. You're here to prevent the players from making what they want to make or what they're able to make based on their name and their image and likeness. And it shouldn't matter if it's coming from the school or if it's coming from a car dealer that wants to pay you to endorse their product. But have a feeling the NCAA will justify their existence after this settlement.
I think Florida, the way this is, a lot of people point to, well, Purdue, look at that, no portal. No, that's the exception. Florida, starting 5 last night, no freshmen. Portal. Like, go out, find, and then if you get a good head coach, then kind of meld these guys together, and that land grab will be something. Everybody I talk to, Danger, optimistic about Syracuse next year with Anthony's kid coming in.
Well, we should ask their opinion on whether or not we should be optimistic about Syracuse next year. Is there a way we can get Jim Boeheim in the sports bar?
Jim Boeheim is coming into studio, is scheduled to come into studio with us. He's in Rochester on Friday, speaking of Big Brothers, Big Sisters. And before he gets to that engagement, he's going to stop by our studio. So here's my plan. Let me run this by you. Because sometimes Jim, if you wind him up, he can be very engaging. The one time we did have him on.
Yeah, we talked
about John.
phone.
Like, he gave us stuff. We have to kind of set the mood here in the sports bar. And what I'm thinking is, not that we wouldn't do this, make sure you have the Masters on Friday.
Ooh.
So you start him talking about golf and has he played Augusta and everything, then figure out right away what kind of, because that's going to be the challenge for you, Danger, and for me. Like, what Jim are we getting here?
I view it differently. I think Jim knows, he's savvy enough to know when the camera's on, when the mics are hot, he's going to be the most charming version of Jim Boeheim. The Jim Boeheim you don't want to get is, we just lost a game we should have won, and a student reporter is asking me a question I don't want to answer. That's the Jim Boeheim we don't want.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we'll get that. I think what we'll get on Friday is somebody that we can have a real conversation with about college athletics, about college basketball specifically, and about the program next year. How does it look? What do you think? What are you hearing?
Do you find yourself having to pull back here? Because although you're so connected to the school, you want to make sure that Red Autry's doing this thing.
Connected to the school, connected to the sport. I mean, he's still working. He's still doing the ESPN thing. So really fortunate to have him in town on Friday for Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and fortunate to have him here in the sports bar Friday afternoon. That'll be 4 o'clock. Syracuse Hall of Famer Jim Boeheim in the sports bar. All right, let's take a break and come back with a round of shots, Gino. What do you say?
Yeah, we will revisit last night. We've got hockey tonight. We got some baseball notes. Tragedy today in the Dominican Republic. We'll get to that as well. Phil Mickelson with a setup question here. Somebody tried to bait him. Which would he rather win? The Live Miami event or Augusta National?
Oh, my goodness.
I love that. I love it because it's just so cringy. We got those stories more.
All right. That's all coming up next on The Fan.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Rochester Sports Update.
Somehow, some way, the Buffalo Sabres are still alive, not yet eliminated from playoff contention. That could change tonight as Carolina comes into town. Lindy Ruff, though, wants his team to continue to fight.
I think it means a lot because we're working on our game. I've said this. Our goal is to try to win every game. It isn't to develop players or seed players. Our goal is to play the type of hockey that we can sustain and be consistent with. And that's what this stretch is all about. And the numbers have been better. I think our team's getting rewarded offensively and defensively for it.
Our coverage will begin at 7 o'clock tonight here on the Fan Rochester. Big surprise today in Denver, where the Nuggets firing their head coach Michael Malone. Also, they're parting ways with GM Calvin Booth. Yankees today falling to the Tigers 5-0. No score in Cleveland between the Guardians and the White Sox. Mets and Marlins tied at 2 in the 5th. Gene Battaglia in the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, the Fan Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, the Fan, Rochester.
Happy Hour continues in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia, as we do every afternoon at this time. It's time for a round of shots.
Well, when asked about one of his players, Walter Clayton Jr., Rick Pitino once said he was fat, slow, but he could pass. Pitino leaves Iona for St. John's. Walter Clayton Jr. leaves for Florida, where last night he didn't look fat and slow. Give him that. He was named the tournament's most outstanding player, averaging 22 points per game. Houston couldn't get a last-second shot off. In fact, they couldn't really handle the ball down the stretch. The Gators winning their first national championship since 2007.
This is a tough way to go if you're rooting for your team and you have a chance at the end and you can't even get the last-second shot off. That's a tough look. Mm-hmm. That's a tough look down the stretch. I wonder how Jim Nantz felt. Is he going to wash his sweatshirt now? Will he wash that thing?
Well, it's all good. We'll be back.
We'll be ready for Butler Cabin this weekend, friends.
Yes, it's so good to be here. 2036, the countdown is on. Florida head coach Todd Golden, by the way, might need a new agent. Danger. His bonus for winning the national championship was $50,000.
No, you don't give me $50,000. I can do a lot with that.
Okay, right. It's not nothing, but
no, in his realm, it's nothing.
Yeah, Calvin Sampson, by the way, would have made $500,000 had Houston won. Golden's salary this year was at $3.6 million, which again, that's really nice money we won't attain, but it's less than half of what the likes of Bill Self, John Calipari, and Danny Hurley are earning.
Well, he'll be in line for a promotion, I'm sure. A little bit of a pay raise here on the way for Coach Golden.
I love this. You see this in the NFL, right? After a loss, where like on social media, you'll see New York Jets eliminated. Mm-hmm. Do we get this tonight here? There's a couple ways the Sabres could get eliminated. First of all, if they lose. But then if they could win, and if Montreal beats Detroit tonight, the Sabres are done. And gosh, you could have Ottawa clinching tonight, too, I learned today. The Sabres, again, they need to win tonight. But, Danger, this is what I have to say. If you're going to go out, control your own destiny, Buffalo. Do it yourself.
Don't show up, lose.
Yeah, lose. 7 o'clock tonight. Be sure to listen right here on the Fan Rochester and tell a friend, too.
God, I don't know what it's going to take for me to be back. I really don't. Like, I haven't. Truth be told, I mean, we're a sports talk show, and we got to know what's going on with the team. But the investment that I've given the Buffalo Sabres since palm trees and taxes, minimal.
Well, you and I, we're not perfect at this, but I think we get a sense of what our audience wants, and they don't want it. Look, we went through the whole Bills season. I kid you not.
We didn't talk Sabres.
Not at all. Like, it was the Bills, and this is a great magical year for the Bills. And
there's a lot of people right now hearing you say that. They're like, yeah, good.
Good.
Don't.
Yeah.
Fine, we won't.
Cody Bellinger was not in the lineup for the Yankees today in their 5-0 loss to Detroit. Food poisoning, which, look, if you're traveling as a team, that's a little concerning, right? Well, have no fear, Yankee fans. The food poisoning believed to have come from some wings he ate last night.
Oh. Kind of jealous. I think I want to get some wings tonight.
Oh, yeah? Where you going to go get some wings?
I don't know, cuz. Maybe I don't know.
How about Good Smoke?
Oh, yeah, I like Good Smoke. They got good wings over there. Where are they?
Cuz they're over there in East Rochester. Go get some wings.
Cody Bellinger got food poisoning?
Yeah. He had some wings last night.
This is just the next story in the rotation as I take a deep breath as we talk now about a tragedy, Danger. Sad news from the Dominican Republic. The roof at a nightclub collapsing. Right now, 44 dead that we know of. One now officially. ESPN originally said he survived. Nope, they changed their story here. Octavio Dotel, former closer in the major leagues, played for the Yankees, for the Mets, a bunch of teams. He didn't make it. Octavio Dotel was 51.
I feel horrible for everybody who was there and lost their life. Nightclub collapsing, Dominican Republic. 51. You going to the club when you're 51 years old? Maybe it's a different kind of club.
It could have been a restaurant. It could have been anything. I mean,
yeah, I suppose. Terrible news.
Yeah.
And ESPN was like alone there and saying, "Oh no, he survived." Well, maybe he survived for a period of time, but eventually, I think on the way to the hospital, he passed.
But to your point, like when you were going to clubs, you always had like old guy at the club. You're like, "What are you doing here, old guy?"
Yeah.
You're like, "No."
Never wanted to be old guy.
Old guy.
In fact, for me, old guy felt like, "Oh God, I'm 25. I feel like the old guy at the club. Need to get out of here."
Yeah, spring break with the old guy. In his Masters press conference, Phil Mickelson was put on the spot. Which would he rather win, the question? Augusta National this week or Live Miami that's upcoming? Mickelson, what did he say? He wasn't going to fall for that question, saying he's not taking the bait. Smart, because he knew that would be a story. Mickelson, somehow, if he pulled it off this week, this would be his fourth green jacket, tying him for the third most all-time in the Masters with Arnold Palmer.
I feel like Phil Mickelson not winning the Masters this weekend is a safe bet.
He did finish third in the last Live event, though. So it's not like he's coming in bumbling as some old vet here. But would you say he makes the cut?
I would listen to that.
Yeah.
I would listen to that. Yeah, we romanticize the guys that we grew up watching, still having some of that game. And I mean, these younger guys are just so good. And even the guys that aren't as young anymore, Rory's playing really good right now. So yeah, I feel better about them getting a green jacket than Phil this weekend.
Finally, creating a stir. Kansas City's MLS game this past week was none other than Taylor Swift sitting up in the boxes cheering on Team KC. Hold on. That really wasn't Taylor Swift. The woman's name is Kelly Thrasher. Kelly Thrasher calls herself Taylor Swift's doppelganger, which, to be honest, looks more like a clone. Careful, Kelly. You don't want to be profiting off of Miss Swift.
Be careful. Be very, very careful. Can I give you a peek behind the curtain since you brought up Taylor Swift? This happened today. I'm not even making this up.
I don't know this story.
I'm going to share something that literally happened an hour ago during the show, and it speaks to the gravitational force that Taylor Swift has. Taylor Swift famously lost all of her publishing rights from her original catalog, right? Remember that whole drama? It was a big news story, which forced her back in the studio to like re-record all of her early work and label it as Taylor's version. And Taylor only wants Taylor's version out there for people to consume because Taylor profits from Taylor's version of Taylor's songs.
Okay, so let's just say if you're a radio station, you're playing the original that more people might know. Is she waving the finger? Where's this going?
I got an email today. I have a new responsibility in my regional brand manager duties that you and Leberfeld like to make fun of me for.
Reg.
Yeah. Recently, I have acquired another top 40 radio station. This one in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Hey.
Thank you.
Yeah.
More work, same pay. It's fantastic.
And you're doing a sports show.
Sign up, kids. You too can be like your hero. I got an email saying, hey, we noticed that you're playing the original version of this song, not Taylor's version. Here's Taylor's version if you don't mind replacing it when you have a chance. And I said, hey, guys, joke's on you. I took over the station, and I pulled all of her music. So she's going to have to figure out.
Wait a second. Is that coming from our company or coming from Taylor's people?
Her people reaching out to our company reaching out to me. Hey, man, we're just trying to do good business here. We're just trying to do good business. Okay. Really, it doesn't matter to me, but fine. Sure. There you go. Everybody happy now? That's Taylor. She's
an assassin.
She is a global brand. You don't view her as Walmart, but that's what she is. You don't view her as McDonald's, but that's what she is. God forbid. Do not cross Taylor Swift. I'm telling you.
Well, for this, it's kind of funny. If you see these pictures at this Kansas City soccer game,
she looks like her.
Look at, oh my gosh, it's her. Like if you said, "Oh, is that?" Yeah, it's absolute. How is that legal? I guess it's me. I'm me. I can be me. Like as long as she's not saying falsely that I'm Taylor Swift and presenting ID or anything like that.
She is. Is she going out and like doing shows as like a Taylor Swift impersonator? If she's profiting and like there's a good local band here that called Cruel Summer that is a Taylor Swift tribute band.
Correct. Yeah.
And I'm not really sure how that works, but they do well.
Probably because you want to do that, you have to play for Taylor's version. You're not doing that for free.
Right.
So that where's the difference between okay, I'm going to be a Taylor Swift cover band, but I'm actually going to dress and act like Taylor Swift, but I'm, leave it up to you to figure out if I'm really her or not.
How many Elvis impersonators are there in Vegas? Do they have to ask the estate of Elvis?
He's dead.
But do they have to?
Dead.
He has an estate. Do they have to ask the estate permission before they profit off of his image and likeness? I imagine they do, right? They probably do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I really didn't want to have to talk about Taylor Swift today, but you brought her up, and so I had to share that little bit of.
Did you see this before I brought this up?
No.
Did you know this woman,
No.
Kelly Thrasher?
Blissfully ignorant, completely head in the sand. Had no idea about this one. But you gave me an opportunity to share just how much influence she has over everything having to do with her brand. She is the music equivalent to Walmart.
And if you come out to Three Heads Brewing, and when we're done with the show, and if you want to know the story, how she tried to get Mike Danger fired.
Yeah, I really came after me.
Yeah, like Mike off air will tell you this true to life story.
You cannot mess with her brand.
Hand to God.
Cannot mess with her brand. She will come after you and your loved ones. Don't mess with her brand. No, but she's pure. She's wholesome. There's millions and millions and millions of dollars at stake with every move she makes, or every move that somebody that looks like her makes. So don't F with her. Do not. All right, we got to take a break. I'm getting fired up.
Sorry.
We'll get to last call. You have the final word in the sports bar at 866-4326, 585-866 4FAN.
with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
You can find the Fan Rochester on Elon's Twitter. That's X at the Fan Rochester. Matthew hitting us up. Caring about the Yankees isn't misfit behavior. It is little brother behavior. We Mets fans don't think about the Yankees. We silently celebrate. I think that's my point, Matthew, is that if Gene were to silently celebrate the Yankees losing 5-0, I would have nothing to say because I wouldn't know that in your head you're silently celebrating the Yankees' demise. Instead, you saw the score, and this is what Dan DeLorean called you out on earlier. You saw the score today, and you went, huh. And Dan DeLorean was like, Gene, you can't do that. I'm sure Dan DeLorean doesn't want to see the Yankees win either because Matthew's right. It is little brother behavior. It's a little bit of jealousy. It's a little bit of we're the little brother, and we'll celebrate, but do it in silence, I think is what Matthew is saying.
I don't need to do this in silence. What fun is that? Losing to Detroit again. Good job.
5-0.
And it was Scooble on the mound.
Yeah, not bad. So Dan DeLorean was, I shed the misfit label from Dan DeLorean, another Mets fan, for having that take.
This is a different story. So, offensive tackle Braden Smith last year missed the final 5 games. Okay, personal matter, didn't think anything of it. We learned the story today in the Indianapolis Star. He spent 48 days in a treatment facility because he had severe OCD.
Obsessive-compulsive disorder.
Correct.
Who's the kicker for the Commanders?
Right.
Zane Gonzalez?
Zane Gonzalez.
He had that routine that everybody saw, and they're like, whoa, this guy needs help. So if that isn't severe OCD, what this guy was actually being treated for, I can't even imagine.
Well, something I've never heard of. Diagnosed with religious scrupulosity. What is that?
Tell me.
Okay, so you're a man of faith, woman of faith, but you have OCD. And if you don't pray and you pray enough, imagine just kind of being in a constant state of prayer or repentance that to a point where you can't do anything. Can't wrap my mind around that, but that's where he was at.
So he felt the need with his condition to be in a constant state of prayer, a constant state of penance, and because of that, he
couldn't do anything else, basically.
Is that guilt? Like, is that overwhelming guilt? Is that crippling guilt?
Well,
what is that?
Yeah. It's a
diagnosis is what it is. Wow.
And they gave him a psychedelic, I guess. Like, legitimately, this is how the story reads, and, the drugs are helping right now.
Well, yeah, probably mellow him out a little bit. I mean, I hear OCD, and I immediately think of the Bill Murray flick, What About Bob, right?
Yeah.
So, some of you probably have no idea what that is.
Which, if you watch What About Bob today, it's like, should we be laughing at this? It's
right.
It's Bill Murray. He's funny.
I mean, I still think the movie would be funny. I just don't know that it would hold up by today's standards.
They're blowing up the house now. Ha ha ha. Like, what? It's funny. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. I don't know. Does that hold up in 2025? Probably not.
No, it does not.
But at the time, we all thought, oh, good movie. One of Bill Murray's best. What a great role. Richard Dreyfuss, unbelievable in that movie.
Braden Smith's going to try to come back with the Colts, by the way, after being diagnosed, and now he's getting the medication he needs.
Good. I love that. And I'm not making light of his condition. That's something that I've never heard of before. And when I think of OCD, I think of more like Zane Gonzalez than I do what you're describing here as a guy.
Zane Gonzalez, I've got to touch my shoes, pull up my socks,
right. The whole thing where it's like you can't leave the room until you flick the light switch on over and over again a certain amount of times, or the door has to open a certain way. That's what I think of with OCD, and I know that I'm not giving the diagnosis its proper credit. I know that it's probably more serious than that, but what I saw Zane Gonzalez do it, I'm like, well, I hope he gets help. I mean, that feels like a rigorous routine just to do your job. I don't know. But Goody's on the mend. Do you think he's got like the same connections that Rogers has to mellow him out? Ayahuasca?
Probably, yeah.
By the way, we haven't hit our quota. We haven't said anything because there has been nothing to say. This is literally going to happen on draft night, isn't it?
What, like this is a question?
Rogers on draft night will sign with the Steelers.
The question is what time? 4:00. I've come to the decision, or like it'll be
as we're getting off the air at Three Heads, maybe like in the 5 o'clock hour,
yeah.
right before 6 o'clock. Aaron Rodgers has signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That feels plausible. We haven't heard anything other than he's still out there, and he threw to DK Metcalf. That too.
The Baltimore accent bracket, the final tomorrow.
Oh yeah, we got to wrap that up. Our buddy PJ Glasser, the host of Send It In on the BetMGM network, stops by for his weekly visit at 3:25. And Coach Patsos, Jimmy Patsos, will join us. Lots going on, not just to wrap up the college basketball season and talk about what we saw last night with Florida, but the NBA, man. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. And what we had today in Denver, that news, we'll get Coach Patsos' take on what's going on with the Denver Nuggets as the season winds down. That's at 4:25 tomorrow afternoon. If you missed Matt Perino, if you missed Ameryk's head coach Mike Leone, find those conversations wherever you get your podcasts. Just search out the Sports Bar. We have Sabres hockey tonight. Carolina the opponent, but listen anyway. JR Sport Brief next on the Fan Rochester. Have a great night.